and you guys know the rest. So, hey guys, hopefully you're able to hear that. Today's movie review is about the new Bryan Singer film, Bohemian Rhapsody. This is a film that centers around the early years of the band Queen. And for those who know Queen, they did "We Will Rock You," "We Are the Champions." They've done Bohemian Rhapsody, like the name of the movie. They've done tons of songs. You can look them all up on YouTube. I'm sure every song they've ever made is on there somewhere. They were a huge band. I want to say they're still active, but obviously different singers have joined in over the years, and I'm sure certain band members have left and everything. But for the most part, this Bohemian Rhapsody movie by Bryan Singer focuses on the early years of Queen, kind of where Freddie Mercury was, who was the lead singer who kind of made the band as big as it was, kind of where he was before the band got famous, how he met the band, where the band kind of was before Freddie Mercury joined it, and before they really didn't even have a name really and stuff like that. And this film follows up the events all the way to the Live Aid concert in 1985, which is where Queen really was very big. That was around the time also where people were starting to suspect they might have had a fallout and Freddie Mercury was moving on. But they all came together for the Live Aid concert, just like several other famous musicians and bands did. And their performance in particular really made the Live Aid concert a very big success at the time. So this film follows all the events leading up to that really big Live Aid concert from 1985. So overall, guys, I really like Bohemian Rhapsody a lot. There was a lot of things about this band I really didn't know before going into the movie. I really didn't know. I did know about Freddie Mercury's relationship preferences, I guess we can call it safely here. I knew kind of that there was a lot of struggles there. Yes, there was some women, but there was also some of his own gender too, um, and I thought the way he handled it was very good. Obviously, you don't want to lie, you don't want to betray somebody you're about to marry or anything like that. But at the same time, don't be so mean to the press when somebody asks you about it. So the film kind of does explore that idea of his life. They also kind of show what the band members were doing around the time where, let's say, Freddie Mercury had a disagreement with them, kind of how they made songs while Freddie was away, and when he did join back in, kind of how he added to the song, whether it was lyrics, whether it was music, whether it was the piano portion of the song and stuff like that. If anything, and this really isn't spoiling it because it is in the trailer of the movie, "We Will Rock You" was something that the band came up with themselves, specifically one of the longer dark-haired men did, while Freddie was kind of away and they were kind of still trying to come up with songs and stuff like that. So that was kind of where that was something that they kind of came up with themselves. So hopefully once again you're able to hear that. So I really like this movie a lot, though, guys. Let's go over some positives and negatives as to why Bohemian Rhapsody is a very good movie. First and foremost, Rami Malek, who played Freddie Mercury in this film. Hold on, I got it. There you go. Who played Freddie Mercury in this film. I thought he was very good. I unfortunately have never seen the show Mr. Robot, so I really can't comment on his performance in that show. But as far as him playing Freddie Mercury in this film, he was really good. He really nailed the role. Definitely everything I remember of Freddie Mercury, whether it was the Queen music videos, watching bits of the Live Aid concert, if any of it's still kind of around on YouTube or anything like that. I really think he nailed Freddie Mercury the best he could, whether it was research, whether it was watching a lot of videos, whether it was watching music videos or talking to people who knew him personally and stuff like that. He really did nail the role. He even kind of had the teeth and the mouth and a consistent voice throughout the movie. The way he performed on stage, the way he sang the songs, the way he interacted with band members and fans and stuff. I thought Rami Malek did a very good job portraying the Freddie Mercury character. There's also a lot of interesting song inspirations for the band. Like I said, the We Will Rock You one really kind of threw me off guard. I really thought that was something the whole band themselves kind of came up with, but it was a song that they kind of came up with while Freddie was kind of away, not really separate from the band. But by the time they were able to kind of get him to do it too, he kind of added lyrics and his own bits of music to it and stuff like that too. So just tons of things like that. Um, it's certain things like Freddie Mercury and maybe a girlfriend he had at the time, just kind of sitting down, relaxing, and him kind of telling her how much he loved her and stuff. He would play a little bit on the piano, and then that little bit on the piano would later turn into a song and stuff like that. So I just thought the way the film handled kind of how the band got inspired to make all their music was very interesting. So really interesting information as far as that went. The film also, like I said, does explore Freddie Mercury's relationships, and like I said, I think it's fair. I think they definitely showed both sides. I think they definitely showed when he was going to marry a girl, when he got serious with a man, or all that stuff. I really thought they handled that part of the film very, very well. And it was very interesting too. And then kind of playing off the relationships, and this is probably during one of the bigger ones. They even use Queen's songs at kind of appropriate moments of the film to kind of add a certain emotion or add a certain mood to the scene. I thought the way they use certain Queen songs, whether it is them performing it or them getting inspired to make that song eventually, I thought the way they handled and incorporated those Queen songs were very effective, and it really added a certain mood to certain scenes too. Um, I'll even say this. I won't say who the celebrity is. I know some people might get mad if I do. Because, like I said, most of all my reviews are non-spoiler. But the film is very funny. There is a certain celebrity that I can't spoil at this time that is very good in the film. Look for the opening credits. Look for a certain famous person, I guess, from the 90s is the safest way to put it, to show up in certain scenes. Something in one of his films is connected to a Queen song, so that's the biggest thing I can say without giving it away. So, but very funny. I really liked how that actor handled his role. Very funny. And the film overall was pretty funny. There's certain things that Freddie Mercury does and says that is kind of funny. Certain things that the band members do that are kind of funny too, and stuff like that. So I thought the sense of humor that film had was very effective. The film also had very believable performances. You know how when you watch a film, it's like, oh, well, that's an actor trying to be that way, or that's an actress trying to behave that way. It really did feel like I was watching real people playing out what really happened to the Queen band and kind of what was happening around them and stuff like that. Whether it was the girlfriend, whether it was the agents, whether it was the parents of Freddie Mercury and stuff. It really did feel like I was watching really believable people that really were on this earth at some point in time and really kind of just being themselves. It really did feel like I was watching characters and not somebody trying to be a certain character. There's also this really isn't a spoiler at all. It's just something they kind of do during the end credits of the movie. During the end credits, they do show real Queen concert footage, which I thought was very good, very effective. It made you stick around and kind of watch the credits for a little bit just because they really do kind of show what the Queen band, the real Queen band was like when they were performing and stuff like that. I was very impressed with all of it. For my negatives, though, I do feel the film kind of skips around at times and it does avoid certain how and why details. Um, there are certain songs where they really don't get into detail at all as to how Queen made that song. There's even certain moments where a big moment happens and then they jump into them performing, and then they jump back into another big thing that the band maybe have encountered at one point in time. So there's certain how and why details that they kind of skip around with a lot. So this film is definitely a chronicle, like IMDb is claiming it to be. It's definitely a chronicle of the band, so kind of take that with a grain of salt in the sense that there's definitely going to be certain moments of Queen's existence that aren't explored in the movie, but for the most part, the early years, the years involving Freddie Mercury, and the years leading up to the Live Aid concert are definitely a main focus of the movie. It also is very slow in some areas. There really is a lot of scenes that, and I guess while we're at it, I'll bring up my next point. I really feel the film is about 20 minutes too long. I think an hour and 55 minutes would have been perfect for this film, while it's closer to about 2 hours, 15 minutes, I want to say. So I think about 20 minutes could have been trimmed out. There's just a lot of scenes where Freddie Mercury's at a party or the band members just kind of sitting around not doing anything that really don't kind of add to the story at all. They're just kind of making the point that they had some off time, and that's kind of where they would just talk about stuff or go to parties and stuff like that. So slow in some areas. I really think the film would have benefited from trimming those scenes out and really making a better pacing for the story. So I thought certain areas could have been trimmed out and could have been improved in the pacing department. And I guess this is kind of unfair to Bohemian Rhapsody, but this film did come out relatively recently. I would say just a month before this movie, so it did come out the same year. So it is going to probably face it at the box office, even though this film has been around for a couple of weeks now, if not a whole month. I thought this film didn't have an emotional punch. I definitely reacted somehow. I definitely felt something during the end of this movie. But unlike an earlier film that came out early this year, just basically a month ago, really, is the new version of A Star is Born. That film had an emotional punch. I was crying at the end. I felt invested in the characters. I loved the songs. I loved the new songs, the new original ones. This film just really didn't have an emotional punch. It's not to say it's bad. It's not to say the film did something really horribly wrong. I just really there's so many things that happen in this film. I don't know if I have to feel sorry for anybody, if I have to feel inspired, if I have to feel wowed by like the Live Aid concert portion of the story. There's just an emotional punch that needs to be here that's not here. And I think that's what's going to hurt this film over time is there's just not enough emotional punch to the overall movie, and that is something that I feel A Star is Born, also a music movie, came out a month ago, did better than this film did. I also didn't like how a lot of the band members on the Queen band were just kind of treated like side characters. Yes, they do show when one of them comes up with a song or comes up with something they could use for a song and stuff like that. They just were kind of just side characters. Yeah, they do interesting things on occasion, I guess, but for the most part, they're just kind of side characters. They're just kind of decorations to kind of make sure the film focuses on Freddie Mercury and stuff like that. So I really would have liked to see more interesting things done with those other band members rather than just being treated like side characters. But overall, guys, I'm going to give Bohemian Rhapsody an 8.5 out of 10. There's tons of things to love about it. Rami Malek's performance really is very good as Freddie Mercury. I love how all the inspirations for these songs were expressed in the story. Freddie Mercury's relationships were explored in an interesting way. The film is funny, it has believable performances, and it even uses the real Queen songs at interesting moments of the film. And that end credit Queen concert is pretty cool to watch. But it does skip around a lot. It does avoid certain details that do get kind of annoying and feel kind of mandatory for the story. It is very slow in some areas. I really feel 20 minutes could have been trimmed out of the film and it would have already been better. I really feel the film could have benefited from an emotional punch of some kind that it just doesn't have by the time the end credits roll. And I really feel like if the band members were not treated like side characters so much, I could have felt more invested in them too. So 8.5 out of 10 for me. Really like the story. Highly recommend Bohemian Rhapsody. It's not the best film of the year. I feel like other films that came out this year are better, and I feel like we have seen better music films like A Star is Born that are way better. But I do recommend the film. I highly recommend seeing it. It's very good. Not best of the year, but I do recommend seeing Bohemian Rhapsody.